From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Good evening, everyone. Tuesday night here on News Channel 5 Plus. Time for Open Line. I'm Rory Johnston. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Got a special Open Line for you tonight. Of course, the changing of the guard in Nashville and Metro Nashville, Davidson County. The government, of course, we have a new mayor, Megan Barry, elected this past summer. And Karl Dean, after 2 terms, is now a private citizen. Recently, last week, I was able to sit down with former Mayor Dean here at News Channel 5 for an in-depth one-on-one interview to talk to him about his legacy, about his 8 years serving as Nashville's mayor. And of course, it was perhaps the most growth and development that we've seen in any particular mayor's term as far as metropolitan government since the early 1960s. He's the 6th mayor of Metro Nashville, Karl Dean. So tonight we have segmented some of the interview. We wanted to show you a little more than we were able to show you over on the main channel, News Channel 5. And we're going to begin at the start of my interview. Take a look. Wow, it's gone fast. Well, it's gone slow and gone fast, I'll bet, for you.
No, it's really flown by. I mean, yeah. I remember very distinctly back in September of 2007 when Greg Hinote, who served as deputy mayor for all 8 years, I was offering him the job, and so we went for a walk together. And he told me, he said, just, it's going to fly by, and he was so right. It's considering all the things that have happened in 8 years, it seems like yesterday that I was first elected to me.
I want to go back to that. I mean, it was this week, 2007, Public Square, you gave your inaugural address. And I read through that address, and it was really interesting because we'd followed your campaign, and you really continued to focus on the 3 themes, public schools, public safety, economic development. So I'm going to start with public schools. And I know as mayor, you don't really have, it's interesting, you don't have a direct hand in the day-to-day because that's the school board and the director of schools. But how did you help guide progress and change there, and what do you see as some of the major accomplishments over the last 8 years?
Well, I think the main thing was we always made education a priority, and so when it came to funding, and it's one of the things people forget, is during the first term we went through the Great Recession, the worst economic downturn since the Depression. Mm-hmm. It was very difficult to do all the funding that we wanted to do, but schools were always a priority for us, and so we increased funding over time. We also were very involved in education reform. I worked hard to raise money, particularly in the private sector, to bring Teach for America to Nashville, the new Teachers Project. Mm-hmm. I was certainly been a big advocate of us having charter schools available here as part of the mix here in Nashville. I think I came into office with somewhere around 3, and now I'm going to exit with close to 30, and that sector is going to continue to grow. I think we're at around 10,000 students now, and just with the natural growth that will occur from more classes coming in, that'll double over the next few years, and hopefully more people will come in with innovative education ideas. We worked on the libraries, with the Limitless Libraries, where we broke down the walls between the schools and the libraries. That's probably my favorite program. I think it's had great results. After-school programming was a big deal for us. We've, through NASA, which is now located at the libraries, we did a lot of work to have after-school programming available for middle school kids around the city.
At the time, Dr. Pedro Garcia was on his way out. Right. You saw a change in leadership there. Dr. Jesse Register, kind of an unknown, came in. Turned out to be a pretty good move. I mean, you two worked well together. Talk a little bit about that relationship and the collaboration with him.
He's a very strong administrator, but he also had a very clear focus on what's good for kids. Mm-hmm. And, we didn't agree on everything, but we worked together well on the budget. He was helpful on the reforms I wanted to do. Things like Limitless Libraries couldn't have happened without his leadership. So having him as a director of schools really was helpful. And substantial progress has been made. I mean, graduation rates are certainly up from when I came into office. The dropout rate is down. Test scores are up, not as much as they need to be. He's did some great work around the academies. He was a very good leader who I think stabilized the schools and put the schools in a position where they can really move forward. Nashville was lucky to have him.
What did you learn coming in as legal director and maybe not a lot of experience in that area? What did you learn about education and public education over your term?
You know, interesting, one of the first things I did as mayor is I did spend some time actually traveling, going to New York and Chicago, Boston, other cities to see what was going on with education reform. And my sense was that a lot of things that had been happening in other major cities in the United States had passed Nashville by. And that's why I became really focused on giving families choice through charter schools, and I'm very proud of the what way they have done their jobs, bringing Teach for America here. And I think the absolute key thing is just to continue to demand excellence, not be afraid of change, and we're not where we need to be, and so you can't be satisfied with the status quo. I was blessed, I think, to have two great governors while I was mayor who focused on education. Governor Bredesen, under him, the state won the race to the top. I think Bill Haslam has done an extraordinary job in terms of pushing education reform. He has been put together, I think, a model education department. And I think his Tennessee Promise is just a fantastic program that could really be a game changer for lots of young people.
Yeah, I mean, that's getting national recognition.
Right, it's an excellent program.
You also saw a change in leadership with public safety, with Ronald Surpass leaving, Steve Anderson coming in. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Gosh, because he's so quiet, our police chief. And you did focus on public safety and increased funding for police. Why was that such a priority for you?
Well, I think fundamentally for the city, any city, public safety has always got to be the top 2 or 3 things you're thinking about, because cities don't work unless people feel safe and are actually safe. Yeah. And so we put a lot of money into hiring new officers. We have the largest department we've ever had. We've had an academy class almost constantly in session. We have focused on infrastructure. We built the crime lab in Madison. We built new precincts. But we've had good leadership. I think Chief Surpass, who Mayor Purcell brought in, performed a really important role in terms of pushing the department forward. When I made Steve Anderson chief at the time of the flood back in May of 2010, and Steve has been extraordinary. I think he's been a great chief. You know, all his attributes, which are, I think, a very sharp intelligence, very good analytical skills, a strong leader, somebody who is more interested in getting results than to run in front of a camera, and somebody who's planning for the future. I couldn't be more satisfied with his performance. And you look at the results. I mean, we're having an uptick in homicides this year, which is happening nationwide. But we had 2 years in a row where we had homicides 50-year lows. Yeah. And I think the credit for that has got to go to the men and women in the police department and having good leadership in the department. And he commands, from what I know, a lot of respect from the rank and file. Yes, he does. Yes, he's one of, you know, Steve's got, when I made him chief, I think he had about 32 years of experience in the department. He had done everything. He'd been a patrol officer. He has been the deputy chief in a whole variety of roles, but he is a very capable person. You also, in that inaugural address, talked about economic development, and this is what you said. You said, we can't rest on past success. We can't rest until we make sure that all of our citizens share in the prosperity that economic development creates. We need to correct the disparities that exist for our minority companies. We need to help our existing small businesses create more jobs by ensuring that obstacles to their growth are removed. Could you have imagined then the kind of growth, even with the recession, going through that Nashville has seen and continues to see? I mean, cranes are everywhere. Right. I think Nashville is the envy of a lot of cities all over the country in terms of the strength of its economy. I don't think I imagine it at the intense level it is right now, but I certainly felt the investments we were making in infrastructure and in the convention center and just a belief in the city were going to pay off. Nashville's blessed with a diverse economy. Healthcare is a fantastic sector, huge. Hospitality is incredible. I mean, we set tourism records every month, it seems. Having the great universities here is key. But because of the recession, I've always been pro-business. I've always taken the position that if you want to have good schools, if you want to have good public safety, and you want to have parks and sidewalks and greenways, you've got to expand the tax base. You've got to create opportunities for people, and you've got to expand the tax base. And so we worked to lower barriers in terms of making Nashville a business-friendly city, not getting people caught up in red tape. We've worked hard to make sure that, particularly on the bigger projects, that there was significant small business, minority, and women-owned business participation. Convention Center was somewhere over 20%. Omni came in over 30%. Most of the projects have been in that area. So I think Nashville is uniquely positioned right now. It's a really special city. It's a creative city filled with people who come here with dreams, whether it's music, whether it's entrepreneur in terms of technology or healthcare, and great universities. We are really positioned to be one of the strongest economies in the country going forward, and we just have to keep at it. And that means being business friendly, but it also means making sure that small businesses is helped, but creating an atmosphere where people can get jobs, where they can succeed. I always say, and I really believe this, that government's great, but there is no government program anything like somebody getting their own job. That's the best thing that can happen to a person